I'm the editor and founder of EquestrianProfessional.com, the horse business site. And with me tonight is Chad Mendel, who's the co-editor and also my partner in Equestrian Social Media Bootcamp. And just to let you know, tonight we're going to just be covering a part of Facebook. We're going to be talking about EdgeRank. And then next week, we are hosting our social media bootcamp. And during our bootcamp, it's really an intensive, fast-paced course where we take you through in a lot more detail about Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google+, and we also really spend a lot of time on helping you develop a content strategy, which you're going to see. We're going to touch on that tonight with Facebook EdgeRank, but you're going to start to see tonight how important that is. And then the other thing we do in the boot camp is we go through how to develop a sales funnel that works for horse businesses. So we do some pretty cool things in that. So tonight what we're going to focus on, though, is EdgeRank, which is just a piece of Facebook. It's basically like Facebook's algorithm, very similar to Google, of how Facebook decides what gets seen and what doesn't get seen. So Chad's going to explain EdgeRank, and then we're going to get together, go through some tips to create better engagement and get your posts seen more. And then we'll go over Facebook advertising a little bit, and then how to use targeted posts to address certain demographics, and then what some of the benefits are of engaging with other fan pages. And most of tonight, what we're talking about when we're talking about EdgeRank for tonight's purposes are, for the most part, your business page, not your personal profile. We're talking more in terms of business. So I will let Chad take it away.
Great. Thanks, Lizzie. And like Lizzie was saying, we are going to focus on your fan page tonight. However, all this does relate to your personal pages as well too. If you have questions about the differences between the personal and the fan pages, feel free to throw them in the chat box. You should see it on the right-hand side of your screen at the bottom there. So anytime you have a question during the seminar, feel free to throw it in that chat box down there, and we'll get to it. We'll get to all the questions at the end. But if as you're thinking about them, go ahead and throw them down, and we'll get to them as many as we can anyway. We've got a lot of people on tonight, so which is great. We'd love to have you all here. All right, so EdgeRank, as Lizzie was saying, EdgeRank is Facebook's way of determining, basically how interesting your posts are, and they put a value on your post based on 3 different things that we'll talk about here in just a second. And it's basically to help the users kind of pare down all the information that's being posted posted on Facebook. The average user likes between 100 150 fan pages. Some people have thousands of fan pages out there. So if you were to see all that information that's coming through, it'd look more like Twitter than than what you see on Facebook now. So again, it's Facebook's way of determining what are the most important posts, what are the posts that they think that you'll be the most interested in as a user, and what pages are getting the most interaction and kind of playing to their audience the best. Obviously, the fan pages with the highest EdgeRank are going to be the ones that are seen the most. Their posts are going to be seen more often than the ones who aren't getting that engagement. And we'll talk about what types of engagement that matters, because not all engagements created equal, such as the like is not the same as somebody clicking the like button is not the same as somebody actually commenting on it or sharing it. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. So we talk about newsfeed. I just want to make sure that everybody understands, what we're talking about. This is actually Equestrian Professional's news feed that we would see if we're logged into our page here. So these are all the other pages that we follow, and it's showing us these posts based on these other pages, their EdgeRank, and this specific post's EdgeRank. We can sort how this news feed is shown to us. So we can either sort by most recent, or we can sort by I think it's most popular is what they actually call it. But again, it still uses this algorithm to determine which one, regardless of whether it's most popular or most recent, it's still going to show you what they select to show you instead of kind of a chronological order of things that come out there. And this would be similar if you're logged into Facebook as a user. This kind of look the same. It just would have your picture up there and your name up there instead of your fan pages. So what's the difference in a page? Viewing content on a page versus viewing it on actually the newsfeed that I just showed you there. Unfortunately, for page owners, only about 90% of users who like your page actually return to that page and actually view it on there. So, while you may log in and look at your page, pretty frequently, the fact is that your users aren't coming back and actually looking at your page. Where they're interacting with your content is actually in their news feed itself. So that's why what we're talking about tonight is really important to understand, and really important to kind of optimize what you're doing on your Facebook post to get the most interaction in the news feed itself. And Liz is going to talk a little bit more later about some of the changes that Facebook's actually starting to roll out to some people, and that's coming down the line as far as visuals and things like that. So again, you're going to be way more likely to reach your fans on through the newsfeed than you will on your page. So again, that interaction is very important, and not only reaching your fans, but also reaching new fans. Because when somebody interacts with your post, whether they're liking it, they're commenting on it, they're sharing it, not only are they having that interaction, but their fans, their friends are going to see that interaction, and are pretty likely to actually have interaction with that content that you put out there based on what their friends are doing. So again, we get that viral nature of the posts that are going out there. You can see some of these other stats on there, but the fact of the matter is that the newsfeed is very important to pay attention to and to optimize your post to. And what that comes down to is getting that engagement, having that EdgeRank, and just kind of take a step back. Why it's called EdgeRank is any type of content that you put out there, whether it's a picture, a link, or any type of post that you have out there, Facebook refers to those as edges. So, and that's why it's called EdgeRank. Just kind of to keep in mind there. So, what does it take into account? Like I said, there's three main things, and actually four. That's not on this slide here, but we'll talk about it here in just a second as well too. We'll talk about affinity of your page and the post to the user, the weight of the interaction, weight of the engagement, and the timeliness of the post. So let's go into these a little bit more. So affinity refers to either your friends or your fans who you regularly have interaction with. So this is somebody. If you're posting on a regular basis, say every day or every other day, and we'll just want to take it from a single fan perspective. If this, say, we'll just call him somebody, we'll call him George. If George has interactions with your page on a regular basis, whether he's liking your post or commenting on your post or sharing your post on his feeds or even on his pages, he's going to have a strong affinity to your page. So he's going to have a much more likely chance of seeing your posts when they come through the newsfeed versus somebody who either just became a fan or who doesn't interact with your page very often. So this is kind of what they mean by affinity. When we talk about the next one, which is weight, we're talking about again the interactions that can occur, which are generally likes, shares, comments. There's also negative interactions that can occur, which is actually kind of the fourth thing that Facebook EdgeRank takes into account. And those negative interactions are when you see a post and you kind of scroll into the top right corner of that post, it'll show up at an X, and you can either hide the post, you can report the post if it's spammy or just in some way violates the rules of Facebook. Those are considered negative interactions, and they can have a strong, a strong negative effect against your Facebook EdgeRank. But on the other side are the positive ones. Obviously, the likes, the shares, and the comments. These are all engagement aspects, but they're not all weighted the same. So it doesn't take much effort to click on a like when a post comes up there. On our page, we'll get sometimes, like some of the ones that we'll show you later on, 10,000 likes or something like that. It takes just a fraction of a second to click on it. So Facebook, takes it into account, but they take it with kind of a grain of salt. On the other hand, comments, that takes a little more effort. They have to actually think about what you're going to, some people think about what they're going to, not everybody, but, it takes a little bit of effort to put that down there. So, Facebook puts more weight on comments, and shares, kind of the same thing. Usually when you're sharing it either on another page that you're running or on your personal timeline, you can maybe add some of your own comments to save the photo. You can add some more, of your own comments to that photo as well too. So again, shares and comments are going to have much heavier weight to them in the Facebook side than just a single like. So we talk about timeliness, which is the next one, and Facebook calls it time decay. So the most recent ones are going to have a little bit better Facebook EdgeRank than something that maybe has been out there for a week. You're probably not going to see old news coming through your timeline very often. You may actually see where it's something from yesterday might pop up in there, or if you have your timeline settings set to most popular, you'll probably see some older posts come up through there. But generally, Facebook wants to kind of keep it fresh, keep things moving along, keep it relative, and keep it updated pretty often. So timeliness does play a factor into, and we'll talk about consistency of posting when we start talking about tips later on in the presentation. So does EdgeRank cost? This is a question we get pretty often, and the answer is maybe. And it depends on what your definition of the cost is, I guess. Basically, you can do it with nothing other than time. You can spend a lot of time. You can optimize your posts. You can really work on engaging. You can spend a lot of time commenting and responding to comments that are put on your posts that are out there. So again, you can do this without ever spending a dollar and still be very effective at generating engagement on your page. But again, I don't like to say it doesn't cost, because I think time is valuable, and I hear that time and time again that people say that social media is free, and in a sense it is, but really it does take some time, especially if you're learning things and you don't know exactly where to go and what to be, how to post, how to like we're teaching you tonight, how to increase your engagement and things like that too. It can take a whole lot of time. There's some pages that sit out there for months and never have one person comment on their post. So it can take some time. There is a learning curve to it. That's where we're kind of here tonight to try to help you with some of that. Try to get over that learning curve a little bit. And there are some ways to kind of, through paid advertising, that you kind of jumpstart that learning curve a little bit and jumpstart that engagement and get in front of those through things such as promoting a post. It's pretty relatively inexpensive, and Lizzie will go over it a little bit later in the presentation. But again, there can be some monetary aspect to kind of I won't say beating EdgeRank, but kind of optimizing your post for EdgeRank. So just wanted to keep that in mind. There are some tools out there. One of the most popular is called EdgeRank Checker. So this kind of gives you an idea of where you kind of stand in Facebook's EdgeRank. Now, this isn't Facebook's product or anything like that. It's a third-party product. And just like Google and all the other search engines, nobody knows exactly what Facebook's algorithm is. So this is kind of the best guess that a third party can make. But it does give you some useful information as far as what's going on your page over time, and it gives you just some insights on as you can see on this, that's maybe the best news day for us was on Sunday during this time period, and then the least new safety gaining new bands was on Saturday. So maybe we can change things around the way we're posting to either make that better on Saturday, or maybe we just say, hey, Saturday nobody's there, let's just not really worry about that. So again, it gives you some ideas on what's going on stat-wise and what's going on interaction-wise in a page. But again, it is best guess. Take the information with a grain of salt, but it can be useful to a point. So hopefully you have a pretty good understanding of what EdgeRank is and what it can do for your Facebook fan page success. So what Lizzie and I are going to go through right now are some tips to kind of get you above the competition as far as your EdgeRank. And understand when we say competition, we're not just saying the barn down the street or the trainer down the street. When you're on Facebook, you have more than just businesses that you're competing against. You're competing against friends of friends who are posting funny cat stories out there. You're competing against other businesses who your fans are liking, who are outside the horse industry. So there's a ton of competition out there that is competing for your fans' attention. So we want you to be kind of in the best seat possible to take advantage of what Facebook can give you as a marketing tool, because it really can be a powerful marketing tool. I know we see month after month a large portion of our website traffic comes from Facebook, so it can be a very valuable tool. All right, so we talked about consistency a little bit earlier. I just wanted to show you, I'm not even sure which pages these are from, but just some stats from two different time periods. Looks like the same time period, different pages. And I'll explain these. These are Facebook gives you what's called insights, which is their version of stats for what's happening on your page. If you look at this, the top one here, these large kind of purple circles at the bottom are indication of how many posts and what days those posts were made on. So you can see that the slightly larger ones may indicate 2 or 3 posts on that day, and then the smaller ones maybe indicate 1 post. And then you can see there's some gaps in there where there was maybe no post made at all. On the bottom one, you can see there's more of a consistent posting, maybe at least 2 postings per day, sometimes 3 or more. There's very few gaps in there. And then if you look at the rest of the information on here, the kind of the green line is the number of people talking about these posts and this page. And then the blue line is the total reach that your posts get out to. So if you often see the total reach of a page is much more than what your fan page is, because that means the friends of your fans are also seeing this and maybe commenting on it as well too. But you can see on the bottom one where there's more consistent posting going on, there's also a better, kind of a healthier growth curve on the interaction and on the total reach. All right, so I'm going to pass over to Lizzie here. She's going to discuss a little bit about the kind of the new timeline stuff that's going on, and how visuals can help you.
Okay, so Facebook has always been, visuals have always worked really well on Facebook. When people interacting with photos 53% more than an average post, where they get 53% more likes. And then they also 104 more comments, or 104% more comments than an average post. So their images are really, really important. The great thing about that for horse trainers and horse people is that with your phones nowadays and with where you are doing your work, you are right where the action is. So you're in a fantastic place to use Facebook, whether you're at an event and taking pictures and posting them, or you're just at the barn. But this picture here is one that I created. I don't know, I saw the look on the people's faces, and it just came to me to caption it this way. And it got shared like crazy. It was, I think now even since this image was taken, it has about 1,000 more shares. And in addition to it helping our EdgeRank, the other thing that it did was it increased the number of likes that we had. So our page likes grew, and as did our EdgeRank. And then if you go to the next, well, actually, I'll talk a little bit more about some of the changes. What Facebook is doing in the changes is that they're essentially, again, making the images even bigger. This will be the case for not just photos this time, but videos as well. And so what they're trying to do is make it to where when you are looking at a post, and they're also trying to make it to where there's a lot more consistency for the mobile user, so that they have virtually the same experience as the online user. So what you will see now as it switches over, which right now it's not available yet, you can get on a waiting list for the new Facebook newsfeed, but when they do switch over to it, it's going to be even more visual. So your visuals are going to become even more important. But what we found, and some of the things that we do, is we use visuals as a strategy. So, and this is something that we get asked all the time. Well, if it's all just about posting funny things, how does that actually end up creating business? So some of the things to think about when you're sharing a visual, if it happens to be really popular and you've gotten a lot of engagement, your EdgeRank has just gone up, and so you may want to, after you've shared something fun, then share something that more of a message that you want to communicate. Now, I'm not saying this should be a hard push ad type thing. You know, like you wouldn't be, you know, join us for our, you know, come take a lesson from us or what have you. It probably wouldn't be a hard push, but it might be a link back to your website, or something that is going to, maybe it's educational in nature, so that you're getting your message out to your fans. So, and how you're doing that is you're sort of leveraging your EdgeRank that you've grown from posting things that people like to interact with. And one of the things to think about when you're doing this is why we believe a content strategy, oops, we lost the slides, Chad, is really important, because your content strategy is really how you're communicating your brand. And so you want to be thinking about, as you're using visual content, about how that fits into your content strategy as a whole, because that makes a big difference when it comes down to, Chad's trying to confuse me here, makes a big difference when it comes down to Facebook actually working for your business. The other thing that we found was, and I don't know what's wrong with horse people, but you all seem to really like the, when we did stuff that was making fun of another, well, not exactly making fun of another rider, but everybody really seems to like the wipeout shots. So just saying. The other thing that you can use visuals for, and you want to think about them for, is that you can use them to promote events or for products. I think this is the National Reining Horse Association's was their cover photo for a day or two. But it can be a great, using images can be a really great way to promote things. So, you know, whether it's a horse for sale, and for sure all of you are going to be wanting to think about that, whether it's videos and horses for sale, a little tip to think about is when you do post a video or a picture of a horse that's for sale, in the description, you like what you would post for your status post or what have you, put a link to your website or a landing page of sorts, which we will talk about during the boot camp, is how to develop really great landing pages, but somewhere where you can actually progress the sale. Most of the time, those sales are going to happen off of Facebook, so you want to be thinking about, if you've posted a photo that you are using to promote an event or to sell a product or a service, that you are giving people a way to contact you. And we can go into more depth about that during the Q&A as well, if you would like to. And I think it's back to you, Chad.
Sure, yeah. I just want to add on to that, horse people love seeing pictures of other horses and other horse people. So, think about that when you're out of the shows and when you're, even at your home, if you're an instructor and you're giving lessons, maybe have somebody take some images of that and use that as a marketing and put some, just a comment on it as well too. It could be a great way to market your business and see that basically people are having fun, people are doing well. So it can be a very good marketing and communication tool for you to use. All right. Our next tip is on the content length that you're putting on there. So we talked a lot about images, but the content is going to be even more important. The content length will be even more important in the new timeline as well too, because what it'll do is actually overlay on top of the image, especially on mobile. So think about that. Usually posts between 100 and 250 characters get more engagement than the longer post, because it's a quick read. They can look at it. Usually when those shorter text posts are combined with a image, kind of like this one, they're going to get a lot of engagement that way. The other way to look at it too, I've seen some people out there doing that, is actually putting almost full-length articles on Facebook as well. And what they're getting from that is a different form of engagement. When somebody writes more than what Facebook actually puts into the text box here, it'll actually include a see more link. So you click on that and kind of see the rest of the post that's in there. Well, Facebook also considers that engagement. So again, there's kind of two schools of thought. If you are writing, if you are a writer and you like to write, you may take advantage of that, see more link interaction and write full-length posts on there. But if not, you can do the other way, which is putting shorter posts on there, or putting full-length articles on your website and putting a link and some kind of shorter explanation copy on there, and get them to link back to your site or something like that as well too. So kind of a little bit different schools of thoughts on those two, but just be conscious of what you're posting and how long your text is on there. One of the things we try to do is also think about how to engage with the text. So like on this one here, you can see that, we asked a question on that one. So think about how questions can help you kind of foster engagement.
Okay, so a couple more thoughts on engagement. One of the things I want to mention that I think is interesting about sharing images is that, especially like the ones that you saw that we posted as sort of the wipeout pictures, a funny thing happens, and that is that hundreds of people tag other people in the photo. So that's another way that images create engagement, especially if it's something humorous. You'll find that people will tag their friends in it, and so that can be a great way to get some engagement just on its own. And some other ideas are doing caption contests. We've seen Haha Horses do really well with that, and Eventing Nation does well with that. Multiple choice questions, fill in the blank, inspirational quotes, humor. As I said, humor is always, well, we don't all share the same sense of humor, but just be a little careful with it. But overall, we have found that those things are really things that people engage with. You want to think about every time you post that you have an opportunity to create curiosity, to challenge people, to inspire them, and all those things increase interaction. And also just thinking about when somebody is engaging, if you make it to where they have to write an essay to respond, you're going to find fewer people want to do that. That's why we think that things like multiple choice or fill in the blank or really quick, short yes, no type responses are typically going to create more comments and more engagement. Next slide, Chad, I think.
Sorry, went too far. All right, so the next tip we're going to talk about, and it's a question I get asked pretty often as well too, and it's about auto posting. So say somebody has, maybe they have a blog or even they have a Twitter account. They ask, well, can't I just link those and let it automatically post to my Facebook page? And the answer is yes, you can, but I advise against it. We've done some testing in the past and confirmed with some other large page owners out there, and you actually see a 50% decrease in the number of impressions, basically, which is your reach, the total number of people who reach, and ultimately the engagement of those people when it is auto-posted from a Facebook or from Twitter. And the reason is, pretty simple. Facebook wants you to be present. They want you to take that time to
Sorry.
It's okay. Facebook wants you to take the time to actually be present. They want you to put it on there and not be just an automated process. So that doesn't mean you can't do what are called scheduling posts on Facebook itself. And Facebook allows you to do, go ahead and schedule, in advance or even actually in the past as well too, posts that go out there. So, take advantage of that feature. We have not seen any negative impact from using from that. I think I might show you down the line how to do that a little bit. But, it's just a simple thing you do. Once you put the post in there, there's a little clock in the bottom left-hand corner. You can schedule it out by the day, by the hour, even by the minute. So again, it's something you can go in if you have maybe an hour or half hour, one day a week. You can kind of go in and schedule a post for the entire week. My only caution of that is make sure that you're coming back and checking those posts and checking the comments that are there, and again answering comments that are coming through, and again engaging with those fans who are actually participating in the conversation.
Okay, so we talk a lot about content strategy, and I talked about that a little bit with the images, and that is that you want to be thinking with your content strategy about maybe being kind of balanced between maybe sharing a blog post or a training thought or a training tip or a horse for sale or what have you, with something that's sort of fun or maybe a congratulatory post for your clients. So you want to think through your content strategy a little bit, and especially have something ready for if you do happen to get something going viral, a really great response to something you posted. What content are you going to post next that's going to take advantage of those increased views and that increase in EdgeRank? And then also thinking about what are you going to do to maximize engagement with the new people who like your page? Are you going to respond to them when they, when you see the new page likes? Are you going to say thank you so-and-so and tag them in a post, thank them for liking your page? Especially if you have a local barn, that can be something that's really smart to do, is to just, and especially if you see that somebody is responding that's in your area, you may want to take the time to, kind of give them a little shout out. And then the next slide is, again, with content, and it's something that I'm going to guess that not a lot of you do this, but it's been a very effective way for us and for several, for many horse barns and businesses. And that is, if you do something like you have a blog, or maybe you have horse show coming up, you know, the event coming up, and that is to do promoted posts. Promoted posts can be very, very targeted. So that they are, because of that, they tend to be pretty inexpensive. You can see here on our budget, this one we had a budget of $100. You could go way, way less than that, and that was for a 3-day period of time. I think it was 35 cents a click or something like that, but if you check back often with what you've on your actually not on promoted posts, but on your other ads, often that you're able to lower your price per click. So they can be, because it's so targeted and because you've already built a relationship with your fans and friends of fans that are looking at your page, promoted posts can be really effective because those people already have a relationship with you. So we found those to work pretty well. And then I think, Chad, I think the advertising slides you were going to talk about a little bit, but I'll kind of throw some things in there at the end too.
Sure. These are just some, this one and the next one are some examples of ways that different companies out there were using a third party, I guess third-party plugin is what you call them, to do some advertising and do some contests. You know, Facebook has some strict rules on doing contests on Facebook itself. And what they require is that you actually use a third-party service provider to actually run the contest through them. So ShortStack, PageModo, some of the other ones that are out there actually you're required to use one of those to run the contest. So all the and there's a lot of pages out there that are breaking those rules, and some of them are getting slapped. You know, I've seen some pages that actually get wiped off of Facebook, at least for a period of time, because they ignored those rules and kind of were running, in Facebook's eyes, illegal contests on there. But again, some of them are. Some of them offer, free, maybe a first-time contest through them, or ways to get in there relatively inexpensive. So if you are thinking about running a contest, definitely look to one of these third-party plugin providers to use. And again, it just makes it a seamless way to kind of go through it, and you can kind of see this example here. I think Liz, you can talk a little more about this one, but it gives you an idea on how to, maybe not just do just a regular promoted post or an ad on there, but if you're thinking about running some contests and giving some different values to your fans, this is one way to go about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it really depends on the number of followers you have, fans you have, whether or not a contest is a good way to go. They can be a lot of work to run, even if you are using an app. The main thing with the app, with Facebook's rules, is that if it's a contest that's run on Facebook itself, then you have to use one of these apps. But one of the benefits that I want to talk to you about with advertising and coupling using Facebook advertising with a good growth plan for your Facebook Edge and a growth plan for your Facebook page is that once you do have a certain number of fans, as Chad was talking about, 96% of them aren't going to return to your page, but they do stay on. They just stay on the newsfeed, but that's just it. They do stay on the newsfeed, and advertisements are run on the sides of the newsfeed. So because you can target your ads so much, like you can target an ad to just people who have recently moved to your area, to a certain age group. You can target to people who like a specific page. So you can really drill down to people who are specifically in your, who are good leads to maybe become a client at your barn or buy one of your horses or what have you. So The key, though, is when you are running an ad on Facebook, that you do have a good sales funnel set up and that you have a landing page that you're sending them to, where at least you can collect their contact information or at least generate some conversation with them so that you can progress that fan from being just a fan into actually being a prospect. And then I'll let you, you can see here on this, that's why Chad switched back to it, is that you can see even Country Outfitter is collecting these people's email address. That's giving them permission to then send them an email later to follow up. And that's critical. And we know in the horse business, because it's a high trust industry, the relationships have to be built typically before somebody, makes that next step of coming out to your barn, whether it's to have a barn tour or whether it's to look at one of your stallions or set up a lesson or what have you. So those relationships are important, and having control of the follow-up can make all the difference in making somebody who's potentially interested in doing business with you becoming more interested in doing business with you.
I was just going to add one thing on the contest itself. If you are actually running the contest on Facebook, like we said, Facebook requires you to use a third-party app, and that's if you're kind of doing the, if we get 10,000 likes by the end of the year or whatever, we'll give away this to the 10,000th person or something like that. However, that doesn't mean you can't promote any contest that you're running on your website on Facebook. So maybe you're running a giveaway, and where they have to come to your website and sign up for the giveaway on your website itself. It's perfectly legal to promote that on Facebook, and basically include a link for them to go to your website and sign up for it there. So that's kind of the workaround if you don't want to use those third-party apps. And it's actually one that I prefer to use, because it's less hassle to actually set up the app itself. And what I want is my main goal in doing any type of those contests is to get that lead, get that email address, and basically start that conversation with somebody who might be new, who's never heard of us before, or just somebody who is not in our system. So again, that's the reason we would run the contest and kind of get people involved that way. All right, so we talked about targeting a little bit. Lizzie did targeting as far as advertising goes, but what you can also do is target based on your post itself. So this is kind of an example post up here. And you can actually add targeting. This is totally a free portion of Facebook itself, and you can kind of see the different segments you can target to. And what this does is actually cuts down the number of, when Facebook is looking at the engagement, it's looking at a ratio value. So if you're only putting out a post to somebody who is interested in, so maybe you're a reining horse trainer, and of your fans, that you want maybe a certain post to go out to this to these amount of people, you can target that. Or maybe you want to target maybe the children or adults or anything like that. You can target your post based on age or location. You can even do it based on language. You can see kind of this next slide that comes up here. So maybe you have some Spanish speaking portion of your audience that you want to reach just with a specific post. What that does is again, it narrows down that ratio of number of people. You can see right here how many people it actually targeted, and this is based on your fans. So again, when you're using this targeting, you're actually targeting your own fans. You're just targeting a segment of those. So again, if you had, we'll take our numbers for example. If you targeted 560 fans versus nearly 30,000 fans, you're going to see a better ratio of interactions on this number versus the 30,000. So if I get, even if I only get one person who interacts with this post targeted at 560, it's better than 10 people who interact with it at the total of 30,000. So again, it's just one way to kind of narrow your segments down a little bit and kind of increase your engagement ratio, not necessarily your overall engagement. So just remember, it's not all about bigger numbers aren't always better. It's about quality of the post and how engaged that audience that you're targeting is.
Okay, so this is kind of a bold statement, but I believe it to be true, and that is that you, as horse professionals, typically you're not really competing with other brands, because most of what you're doing, what your goal is to have that showing up in people's, in potential customers' feeds. You're not really dealing in a business to business, even though you have cooperative relationships with other trainers. Your post that you're putting out there in the news feed, what you're hoping is that your customers are going to interact with it, and that potential new customers will see it, and also that your friends in the horse industry will see it and interact with it as well. So as horse professionals, typically your main competition isn't somebody like Coca-Cola or something like that. You are competing for attention with other Facebook users, friends, and family. And they say really that you can't, that you can no longer buy fans. It's kind of true. I still see advertising on Facebook being pretty effective for growing a fan list. But I also think that when you have a really good content strategy, that is what, when you put the two together, that's what's really going to grow the number of people that are fans of your page. Again, like what Chad was saying, quantity isn't necessarily quality. We would much rather see horse professionals and other horse business owners having a really solid, engaged group of followers than a big bunch of people that are really irrelevant to your business. And I think most of you on this call know that the right person for your barn, or the right student to train with you, or what have you, is a very specific kind of person. And so, not just whether you want a show barn or whether you run a summer camps, you're looking at it for a very specific type of customer most of the time. So again, having that smaller group is not necessarily a bad thing. It can, in fact, be a very good thing. So I want to quickly go over some of the things that are coming up with the Facebook changes. There's not going to be any change to the algorithm. So basically what Chad talked to you about so far as EdgeRank, there's not going to be any real changes to that. However, that said, because of the design changes that Facebook is making, visual content is going to be even more important. And again, videos are going to be, I wish I could show you a screenshot of it. You know what I think I may be able to do? I will try it. I will post a link in the chat in a minute where you can take a tour of what some of the changes are going to look like that's on Facebook itself. They are essentially, what Facebook is doing is, their idea going forward is really that they're trying to have the news feed behave a lot more like a newspaper would. So there's going to be sort of like sections. So things like where you'd be able to choose between things like music, photos, games, people you're following, close friends, or most recent posts, or all friends, or the whole news feed. So essentially, I think every time Facebook makes changes, I personally think it's good, but I also think that it makes it to where being on top of things and being ready for those changes are important, because Facebook is as competitive. I think Facebook is actually more competitive for attention really than any other form of advertising or marketing, because you can't just it's not a place of just posting a really cool designed ad. It's a place where you need to engage with people. You need to be posting things or have content that people are enjoying and engaging with. The other changes that the that Facebook is making are basically things to make it work better with your mobile devices. And a couple tips. I shared one of them, which is to use photos, use your images and then put the link in your description rather than necessarily posting a link to your website itself. Does that make sense? So like you would maybe post a picture and then you would use a bit.ly or a link shortener to add a link in that image. And also that Pinterest, which I'm sure a lot of you are using, Pinterest, the prediction is that Pinterest and the Facebook app, the Facebook Pinterest app, so basically tying your Pinterest account to your Facebook account is going to be a valuable thing to start working on, because essentially Pinterest will result in a lot more direct sales for me. Is a little more sales oriented, and so when somebody sees you link those two together and going to your Pinterest account, it kind of is taking them, or has the potential to take them further down the sales funnel. The other thing to think about is just that your own current customers, the people who really believe in what you're doing, they are probably the absolute most important people in your social media network, because it's them who are going to share, it's when they share your content that it really has meaning, because people do business with other people that they know, like, and trust. When they see that your clients are sharing what you're posting and they're talking and saying good things about you, we all know how powerful word of mouth is, and that's really what you want happening on Facebook. And that's really about it. I know I'm going to think of some other things with the changes on Facebook.
One thing I just want to add, since you brought up Pinterest, the one, I think, exception to the rule, I said, avoid automatically posting from third parties, would be Pinterest on your personal page. I think Facebook makes an exception for that. So if you are using Pinterest and you're pinning things there, I wouldn't do it. You can select to pin it also to, or post it also to Facebook as well too. I wouldn't do it every time you pin something on Pinterest, but think about trying to experiment with it and see what's working. If you're using your personal profile as kind of a business marketing tool as well. I would play around with that, see what's working, see what doesn't work. Like I said, I would just make that one caveat, that is kind of the exception to the rule that I talked about earlier as far as third-party posting.
Okay, should we get to some questions, Chad?
Yep, absolutely. I'm having issues viewing questions. Yeah.
I can read them.
Okay.
This one says, okay, I have a question that can wait till the end to answer. My company is set up on its own business page, but I cannot message people directly unless they message me first, and I cannot send friend requests. I see a lot of companies set up their business as a personal page so they can send requests and messages. Should I have set up my business as a personal page to avoid these setbacks?
You want to answer, or you want me to?
I was reading it for you to answer.
Okay. My answer is no. Your business should be set up on a business or on what they call a fan page. There are some limitations to that, but there are also some pluses to that as well too. But that doesn't mean just talking about as far as your personal profile. If you're using that to kind of use it as a marketing tool as well. I know Lizzie does this really well. Me not so much, but you can bring in people from that way. You can get up to 5,000 personal, friends on your personal profile. So that is a limitation. That if you started your your business as a personal page, and it's also against Facebook's rules to do it that way. But you have a limitation of only having 5,000 friends, so to speak. So again, it's better to start it out as your business out as a fan page. If you want to use your personal profile to invite people to the page, I think that's more than well. If you have multiple people who are on staff or employees or even customers, you can ask them to invite their friends in there as well too. So there's different ways to get them into there and have those. One thing we didn't talk about tonight would actually be groups as well too. So that's another way. If you have maybe groups are kind of best used as almost sub-segments of your overall audience. So if you have maybe if you're we'll say an instructor and you want to have maybe just a group of your clients in there, your current clients, so your students that are in there, so you can have that, you can kind of create that group for them to maybe go back and forth and share some things in there as well too. And that gives you some ability to send emails out to them, send mass messages out to them in that way. So there are different ways to kind of utilize what Facebook has out there, but I would definitely stick with if you are creating a business entity on Facebook, stick to a page and can use the other aspects to kind of drive users to that page and like that page. And again, the one thing about any of the social media platforms that are out there, Facebook included, that you have to remember is that you don't own that space. So when you're creating these, I always tell people the ultimate goal is to get those people to come, either come back to your website or have a place on those social media platforms where you can kind of take that relationship to the next level as far as them giving their email address, like we talked about in the one contest above, or somehow contacting you, whether it's by phone or by email, or any of those, that kind of next step in that relationship, kind of going through that way. So again, since you don't own these platforms, you really don't own these contacts. So you want to kind of progress the relationship down the line, and using some of the things that you can, using content, using contest, using kind of carrots to get somebody to sign up for your newsletter or things like that too. So that's just one thing to have a long-winded way to answer that question, but some important things in there.
Thanks, Chad. Somebody asking, how do we find the list of third-party advertisers? I think what she means is third-party apps.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a couple different ways to do that. Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Well, I mean, there's some of the major ones that are out there. I can kind of list off. They've got ones that are called Short Stack, PageModo. What's the other one? Wildfire. Those are kind of the top three. But really, if you're just kind of looking for them, you can do just a search for Facebook apps or Facebook third-party app, and you'll find a ton of them in there. A lot of them will actually let you sign up for their services, and they'll have different levels that you can come in at. Some will have a free level where you can kind of get in there and play around with some of the apps that they have available for your pages and things like that too. So you get a sense of what it is and how it works. And they can be pretty useful. On the other side, there's apps for specific software services. So like we use Aweber for our email marketing, and it actually gives you, it has an app just for Facebook where you can kind of collect emails directly on Facebook, so you're not having to push them back to your site like I was just talking about to the last person there. So you can sign them up right on Facebook, get them into your newsletter list, and have them right there.
Yeah, and another thing, just so that it's clear, hopefully, there are apps that you can search for on Facebook, where, like, for example, Twitter and Pinterest and YouTube and SurveyMonkey. There's a whole bunch of different ones. If you just type that into a Facebook search, Facebook will take you to their page on Facebook, and then it's really easy to just sign up for that app right on Facebook. You have to be signed in as yourself. It won't let you do it when you're signed in as a page. But it's if I could screen share right now, I could show you, or even if any of you go to the Equestrian Professional Facebook page, if you click the little arrow next to the little mini pictures below the big profile picture, you'll see all of the apps we use, like we import our Twitter feed and our YouTube feed and Pinterest, and you can see how that is done, if that's helpful to you. Okay, we have another question. I have asked likes to be my friends on, and Facebook has put me on probation for not knowing people I'm asking. They liked me, so how do I get out of trouble yet use people who liked me? I think it has to do with how many people you're approaching at a time. Would be my guess. I've done the same thing. I'll have somebody actually that comments on things on my Facebook page or Equestrian Professionals Facebook page or one of the other ones that we manage, and I just like what they have to say, and so I might friend them. Now I don't go through and do that in bulk. So my guess is probably that it has to do with how often or how many people you're doing at a time. And Chad, I'm going to let you speak to that as well.
Yeah, I think that it's a combination of things. That it's how many people are you doing, and what are your common relationships. So when you click on to friend somebody on your personal profile, you'll see that it'll give you a number of how many people you kind of run in the same circles with, at least on Facebook. And if there's nobody in that common friends list, then that sends up some red flags. If you're doing that a lot, then that sends up a lot of red flags. However, what you can do is you can also I think you should be able to still send them a message through there. So maybe send them a message before you friend them, and maybe start a conversation that way. You can use. Pretty sure you can subscribe, which is just another form of interacting with somebody without friending them. And I think you can do that pretty much on any personal profile that's out there as well too. So that may be one way to go. But I would always send them a message or write on their wall. Don't just automatically friend everybody that's out there, but maybe start some conversation with them first, get to know them a little bit, and have a back and forth with them before you send that friend request.
Okay, we have another question. If you have two different but similar pages and use Hootsuite to post the same content on both pages, i.e. like an inspirational quote, will that hurt the EdgeRank of your pages, even if you respond individually to comments on each page? Thanks, excellent webinar and delivery of information. Thanks, Kimball. Chad, are you still there?
Yep, I'm sure. Yeah, and I guess I need to make another caveat to that rule I put out there, but posting from Hootsuite or from even TweetDeck allows you to post to Facebook itself. That's it's not really considered an automated post, like you would if you were posting, if you're tying basically your Twitter account to your Facebook account. So again, it's not going to have that detrimental effect to your EdgeRank by doing that. So you're fine to do that. Again, it gives you some stats on if you're using Hootsuite. And just to clarify for those who don't know what Hootsuite is, it's just a third-party kind of a social media dashboard that you can post to. I think it allows you to post to. You use it more than I do. At least Twitter and Facebook and some of the other profiles, social media platforms that are out there. And it's just kind of the way to manage everything in one spot instead of logging in and having those individual platforms pulled up on your computer. You can kind of manage everything from one spot. So again, you're not going to have any detrimental, even if you're posting kind of the same thing to both, as long as you're going back there and having those conversations and engaging those fans on those different pages, you should be fine. If you think it's you think it maybe eating traffic from one or the other, what you might do is schedule those for different days. So if it's not something that's time sensitive, maybe it's an inspirational quote or something like that, you can schedule those for different days right in Hootsuite, and then kind of go from there. So you're not going to have that overlap on the two pages.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a really great question, so I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to answer part of it, and then you can add in. And this is part comment, part question, but I can so relate to this. And it says, well, what seems to be happening, one of the big items we sell on our page is horse jumps. I'll post a picture of a jump, and then I'll get 10 comments on people wanting prices and price lists, but I can't send them a message through the page. So I'll have to post, please message me so I can message you back. And it never fails, but out of the 10 that want price lists, I'll get 4 messages, so I just lost 6 of them. So that is exactly why you want to have, like, say you post a picture of your jump, then in your titling of it, or the place where you can actually sort of put the status post, that's a place where you're going to want to put a link, maybe a bit.ly link or a short, which is just essentially a link shortener that's going to take them back to your website or a place where you can get contact information from them, or it could be a link that says get a price list, click here. And so that you just automatically collect their email addresses or their phone numbers or what have you, so that you can follow up. And that is exactly what we mean by creating a sales funnel. And all of you, whether you teach lessons or you're selling jumps or you're boarding horses, all of you have a sales funnel. And utilizing social media properly for that makes a huge difference, because we have to remember it's social in nature, so we can't do those hard pushes without people not wanting to follow you, but you do want to make it to where it's easy for people to contact you, and there's some very step-by-step ways that you want to do that. And unfortunately, we are starting to go over even on our time, so I'm going to probably just jump, Chad, I'm going to just go to this one about the horse books. I write horse books and articles under a pen name. Should I make a personal profile under the pen name as well as a page? Any suggestions on getting fans to a business page without using a personal page to do it?
I mean, technically it's against, against Facebook rules to, basically create a separate persona. I think you can do it, but, I think, having an author's page as a page itself would be a good way to go. And I would also make sure that, especially if you're an author, we're talking about Facebook tonight, but, one thing I would definitely go ahead and do is, again, we're getting a little off subject from Facebook, but what Google is doing is really paying attention to authorship. So I would create that Google Plus page underneath your pen name as well. So when your articles do come out and they have that pen name attached to it, your Google Plus profile will actually work in tandem with those as well too. So keep that in mind. But back to Facebook, I would say that I would create a page with that pen name. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Lizzie.
I better unmute myself or nobody will know what I'm saying. I think that's a hard one, because I feel like that the pen name with an author, the author sort of is that pen name. So I find that to be a tough one. I guess, I understand the Facebook terms of use, and actually I'm just I'm going to send this little link to everybody. I sent one to a gal earlier who asked about the policies, but I'll send that to everybody. To me, that's a little bit tough, just because people know you by your pen name. So I can't really quite comment on that one the way I would normally. Normally I would agree. I would say I think you have to set up a page. I do think you probably need both, and it also depends on how popular I think, I mean, to be safe, you got to set it up as a page. But I would use your name and then, like Chad said, dash author, or you know, like they may even have an author selection just like they do for athletes. That's a tough one though. Okay, we have. Let me just see if we. Like I said, we had somebody ask about the Facebook's policies, and so I sent that to everybody. If anybody wants to comment, whether you received that or whether that showed properly, I sent it in the question chat to reply to everybody. But I could post it in the entire audience one as well, I guess. Okay. And then if any of you are really, I guess we should probably kind of be calling it a night because we're about 15 minutes over, and I know it's getting late for everybody. I just want to thank you all for coming on. Please feel free to email us more questions or post questions on our Facebook page or what have you. We love hearing from you. We really appreciate you being on and listening to us. And if you want to learn more about social media, we highly recommend our social media boot camp. It comes highly recommended actually from our participants as well. So we hope some of you will participate in that because there's a whole bunch you can do with social media for your horse business. So yeah.
And that starts
thanks for coming.
this Sunday. So just want to throw that in there. It starts this Sunday. You can go on equestrianprofessional.com and find some more information about it. Kind of see the entire schedule that's on there and what we're going to cover as well there. And, you know, looks like there's a lot of thanks and a lot of, you know, good comments that are coming in through the chat there as well, too. And as far as the replay, we will have a replay available for members that should be up hopefully tomorrow sometime pretty quick.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Great attendance and great questions. You know, feel free to hit us up on you know, Facebook if you have more questions, or you know, in our chat or in our forums on the site as well too. So everybody have a good night, and thanks for coming by.